Hi friends, Susan Campfield here with SueStampfield.com. Welcome to my stamp room. Come on in, we're going to create together. I'm so glad that you're here today. I want to thank you for making and sending handmade cards. You are absolutely making the world a kinder place with every card that you send, and I appreciate you so much. This video we are going to correct an issue we ran into in the last video. So we are making a pocket slider card with a Halloween theme. This one will be a slightly different color version than our last card, but when we made it, somebody pointed out that the bat was sticking up too high for the card to fit in an envelope, and they were absolutely right. So that was a little challenge for me, and I'm like, I can fix this. I know I can. So I actually was able to correct the issue without even changing the dimensions of the card, but it does mean the assembly is slightly different. Now, I do send out free project sheets that match up with some of my videos. If you're not currently, subscribed, you can go to SueStampfield.com and subscribe to those free project sheets. This video is actually to go along with the project sheet for this card because I did make a change in how it goes together. So let's get right to it. I'm ready to create. I hope you are too. Create. We're going to go down to the desktop here. So this is the card. I have corrected the issue, so I'm going to slide out. This is the one we made on Tuesday, but I pulled it back apart and adapted it so that the bat was not up so high so that it would fit in a standard envelope. So it's just a slightly different construction change up, and I did cut down this bat tab a little bit. So we're going to make the same card. We're going to make it in Petunia Pop this time. So let's walk through how to make this fun little pocket slider. I love action cards. They're so fun. Just enough room to sign your name there at the bottom. I don't like to write a whole lot in cards. I like the making of the card to be the love that I'm sending. So let's go ahead and make the card. All right, I'm going to set those. Let's set them on the floor. So I made this card back in January, February with the Terrific Toadstools. And so you can also use a ribbon pull, but because this particular set of dies that we're using has a built-in die that's perfect for tabs, I wanted to use that. So the bundle I'm using is the Spooky Halloween bundle that is available right now, and it's just adorable, adorable stamp set and dies. We've got the little haunted house. This is a card that we did in it for last month's Crafternoon, the horizontal quadruple Z-fold card. So super, super cute. Let's go ahead and make this version. So I'm going to bring in my parts and pieces here. We're using the paper that goes along with this bundle. It is called Spooky Sweet, and it's got little punch out pieces that you can, ephemera pieces that you can use to decorate your card. We're going to use actually one of the designer papers, and we're going to be punching out one of the cute little images in here. You can see we did the little bear in the last one, the little bear Dracula. I think the little piggy would be adorable as well. So I'm going to set that aside, set that aside, set this aside. Let's start with these things right here. So this is our card base. And our card base for this card is 5.5 by 8.5, which is standard here in the US. And then it is scored at 4 inches and then 8 inches. That 8-inch scoring gives us a 1/2-inch tab here on the end, which will be useful when we put tear and tape on that to make it into that pocket shape. So let's go ahead and just crease on those. So we want to do a mountain fold and a mountain fold on both of them. So you can see the mountain for both those score lines. And let's set that aside. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to stick our Designer Series paper on the front of our card. I'm laying it on my work surface so that the 1/2-inch tab is to the right. And then I'm going to stick my paper on like so. I want to make sure, oh look, it's super cute on the other side too. The little ghosty hanging down in the window, adorable. So I'm going to go ahead and grab one of my adhesive, that's what I was after. And we're going to put some adhesive on just the perimeter of this piece of designer paper. I got inside a little bit more than I intended to. We don't want to do the interior of the piece because we're going to be cutting a slit in this paper. So I've got my sticky on there, and I'm going to go ahead and center that. I'm sticking it to this portion that's to the left of that 1/2-inch tab, and leaving an even border on the top, bottom, and sides. So we're going to stick that down. Now we're going to bring in our paper trimmer, and we're going to cut the slit that makes this action happen when you pull up this slider. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to rotate this piece of cardstock so that it's basically upside down now. So that 1/2-inch tab is off on the left. And I'm going to go in here, and I'm going to slide this so that my 1/2-inch piece is, I'm just double checking my measurements so I tell you right. So we're going to go at the 1.5-inch mark on my paper trimmer. Here's the 1.5-inch mark right there. So I'm going to line up that edge of that 1/2-inch tab with that 1.5-inch mark. And then I want to cut a slit, but I don't want to cut from the top. I want to cut in the inside of the card. So I'm going to line my cutting blade up to the 1-inch mark, and then I'm going to go ahead and put down that plastic guide. Let me lift it up so you can see. There is a little, I'm a little bit lower than I wanted to be. Let's slide that up. So there's a little notch, I guess I'll call it, that shows where the blade is. So I want that notch lined up with the number 1 for the 1-inch mark. And then I'm going to slide that down to the number 4 mark, 4.5-inch mark, and stop. Okay, so I'm sliding all the way down to 4.5-inch. Now I am cutting through 2 layers of paper. I'm cutting through cardstock and designer paper. So just to make sure that it cuts through both, I'm going to slide it back up to that 1-inch, just in case it didn't quite cut somewhere. Now I'm going to open this up, and I'm going to take it out, flip it back around so that that tab is back on the right side. You can see the slit right here, and that's where the action is going to happen. So next up, we're going to, let's go ahead and punch a little divot at the top of our card. That's going to make it easier for the person that receives it to pull out what's inside. So I'm going to slide my punch in. Oh, I don't know. What is that? 1/4 inch maybe? Somewhere about there. And I'm making sure it's centered from each side. So I'm going to punch that out, and that gives me that little notch. All right. So next up, we're going to add our mechanism piece. And I'm just realizing that I neglected to cut it. So let's cut one real quick here. Grab a piece of cardstock. All right, this will do. So this little slider mechanism, we'll call it, it's just a little piece of cardstock, and it's 3/4 of an inch by 3 inches. All right, so we've got that piece. I'm going to set this trimmer aside. I do need it again in a minute, but we'll set it aside for now. So I've got this slider piece, and I'm just going to stick it inside here and slide it almost all the way in. I want just a little bit sticking out. I don't know, what is that, 3/4 of an inch maybe, sticking out, so it's almost square, right like that. I guess it's actually even less than that. I would say it's 3 5/8. Doesn't really matter. You just want to make sure it's well in from the edge of the DSP, and that it doesn't go too far on the other side. All right, so we've got that in. We're going to go ahead and just stick a dimensional on that. We're going to be sticking our decorative pieces to that little guy, but I'm going to flip it. Now I'm going to flip it to the back side of the card, like so, and I'm going to go ahead and put some tear and tape on this. So let's grab some tear and tape, and we're going to stick that right on the back of this slider mechanism. Okay, let's see if I can hold that up. Can you see that? Not really. There, if I tilt it right there, hopefully you can see that there's some tear and tape on there. Now we're going to put in our piece for the inside. I'm actually going to set this aside, and we're going to go ahead and work on that piece. So I'm going to grab a piece of basic white. Hold on. And my paper trimmer. And we're going to go ahead and cut this. All right, this piece is 3 3/4 by 5, and it's going to go inside the card. 3 3/4 by 5. I do have all the dimensions for this card. I'll show on the screen at the end because I'm just remembering I neglected to tell you the size of our designer paper on the front. So no worries, I got you covered. All right, so we've got our insert piece here. Again, this is 3 3/4 by 5. And then we're gonna die cut that back piece. So let's bring in the die cutting machine here. And we're gonna go ahead and adhere. Let's see. All right, so we've got our little bat die right there. We're gonna pull that out. There's other cute little bats, the haunted house, the fence, and then these little critters match the ones that are in the stamp set. This is the broom here. Okay, let's pull this out. And we're gonna grab a scrap of, oh, hi Mercy. Mercy has joined the party. My dog Mercy is now entered the room. All right, here's a scrap of basic black, and I'm just gonna go ahead and put my die on there. Oops, let's do it the right way, Sue. All right, we've got platform number 1, thin die attachment number 2, and then a Scarta plate on the bottom, and then our cardstock and our die. And let's go ahead and send that through. So, and then we're going to adapt this piece so that it will work for this card because it's so adorable, but so that it doesn't stick up too high and make it hard for us to fit the card in a standard envelope. All right, let's do it. So we've got our die that's cut here, and I'm going to grab my take your pick tool and just give it a little poke here to pop it right out of the die. There we go. Let's put this back on the card so I don't forget it or don't lose it. And then we've got our, let's take a look at that, our little bat there. Hard to see on the screen, but hopefully you can see that. You'll see it really well when I fold it here, but before I fold it, I'm going to adapt it. So I'm going to trim it down, and to trim it down, I'm going to use both my paper trimmer and a pair of scissors. What I did is I I lined up the bottom edge of the tab with the 3/4 inch mark and made a cut here. Okay, that's also going to cut off these little, it's kind of like a, boy, that's hard to see, a cut border. So I don't actually want those on there, so I'm going to grab my snips. I mean, I guess you could leave them on there. They sometimes kind of fall off though, so I don't want that to happen. So I'm just going to remove these little side borders at the bottom. If yours stay put, like this time it stayed put, but the first time I cut it, they actually just kind of fell off. So let's cut that. I'm just taking a little snip in at the score line and then removing those little border pieces. I'm going to leave the border on the top. Now I'm going to just fold on that center score right below the bat and just give that a nice press on that crease line. All right, so now we have this tab. This is perfect for little treat bags. There are some iridescent treat bags that come with this suite of products, but we're going to use it for a pull for our card. So I'm going to be sticking this on that insert piece that's going to slide up from our card. So I'm going to just add some adhesive to the back side of the front of the tab and then the back side of the back part of the tab. Hold it up so you can see. Like that. There you go. And then we're going to go ahead and just stick this on the card. I'm kind of centering it approximately. Does that look centered, you guys? Yeah, I think so. Okay. Let's just give that a press there, and I'm pressing it on the back as well. All right, so that is stuck on, and now I'm going to add some words. Let me bring in my Stampin' Pierce mat. This is really great to use when you have a clear photopolymer stamp and get a better image. And I'm going to ink this up in the Tuxedo Black Memento ink. And this sentiment is right out of this Spooky Halloween bundle. And it says Happy Halloween. And I'm going to stamp my sentiment right below the edge of that tab. Happy Halloween. All right, there we go. So that is all set. Let's go back to our card, and now we're ready to stick this inside. So here's the part that we're, besides changing how we stick the tab on and cutting it down, we're also going to adhere this slightly different than we did in the last video. So let me walk you through that. First, I'm going to remove the tear and tape from that sliding mechanism. Now you can see it's crooked. I don't want my insert to be crooked, so I'm going to straighten this up, make sure it's all the way down at the bottom of the slit. And now that it's straight, I'm going to flip this over so that the Happy Halloween words are face down, and I'm going to line it up with the bottom edge of my pocket and leave even borders on the left and right sides right before the score lines. And then I'm going to just lay it down flat and press right where that sliding mechanism is under my card. You can see now the bat is inset in that little divot, and it's going to fit in an envelope better. Okay, so we've got that attached. We're going to go ahead and adhere our card close. So you want to fold the tab in and put tear and tape on this side of the tab. And then we'll be closing this part to seal it. So I'm folding this in, and I'm going to grab my tear and tape again, and we're going to stick this on. Okay, and we're going to go ahead and pull this off. All right, and let's go ahead and close that up. Give it a nice press. I can just see the little bat ears, or bat wings, I should say, poking up from the other side. So let's flip it around here. Now we've got this piece, we are ready to decorate. So I'm going to grab some punches here. We're going to use this cute little bat that's doing some trick-or-treating dressed up as a ghost. So I'll slide my 1 3/4 inch punch in, and I'm just lining it up, and I'm going to go ahead and punch out our little bat. And then I'm going to take the 2-inch punch, and I'm going to punch a Petunia Pop circle to layer my little guy on. And then I'm going to punch a 2 3/8, just going up here, 2 3/8 inch circle from a scrap of basic black. Okay. I also am going to need some words here, so I'm going to stamp. Let's go back with that smallest one, the 1 3/4, and punch out a 1 3/4 inch circle punch in white. And then we're going to punch a 2-inch circle in black. All right, let's do a little stamping, and we're going to put our card together and see if it works. All right, so right here, I'm going to stamp the words Spooky. Oh, where's your cushion, Sue? Hang on. All right. Oops. Got ink on my fingers. Got ink on my circle. That's okay. I'm flipping it over. Nobody will ever know. I'm going to layer it. And we're stamping the word spooky at the bottom, and then we're going to stamp the word, the little bats, the flying bats here, above the word spooky. It's just like the other two, exactly the same. And we're just going to stamp that right above there. And there we have our spooky piece. All right, let's go ahead and stick all of these together. So we'll start with our little cute little bat. To do with the adhesive. Oh my gosh, here it is. Found it. Take a sip. All right, let's go ahead and stick this on. So that's going to go on the Petunia Pop. Yeah, like so, and then we'll stick that onto the black. Now you also could have this layer piece be pumpkin pie to pick up on the orange on the little basket that the bat is holding, or you could do it in smoky slate for some gray in there. Either way, I decided to go with the Petunia Pop and play up what we're putting it on. And then let's layer this piece, this 1 3/4 inch spooky piece, on the 2-inch black circle, like so. And then we're going to go ahead and peel off the dimensional right here, the backing of that, and we're going to just adhere our little ghost bat to that. And then I'm going to stick the spooky on right up here. So I'm going to add just a couple little mini dimensionals in that upper part of the circle, just kind of near the edge there. We got those on. Peel the backs off of those. And we're going to go ahead and pop on our spooky. Right there. All right. We're going to test it right now. So as I slide it out, oh, you see my problem? My spooky is covering up my Halloween, so it can't be that high. And that's why we test it. Let me see. Boy, these little dimensionals are sticking good. They did not want to come off. That's okay. I'm going to convince them to come off. So I'm going to adjust my spooky sentiment here so that it doesn't cover up that happy Halloween. So I would probably be a good idea to pull that up before you stick it on so you can see where you're headed. All right, that looks good right there. Let's go ahead and add fresh mini dimensionals back on, since those decided to not play nice. I guess I shouldn't have pressed as hard as I did, huh? Let's add another one here. All right, we've got our little mini dimensionals right there. Pull those up. The back does not want to come off. There we go. All right, and then we're going to go ahead and just add in our spooky. I want to make sure it doesn't go outside the edge of my card, and I want to make sure it doesn't cover up my happy Halloween. That looks good right there. All right, so we've got our just enough room to write your name. We'll slide that back down, and we're just going to add a few little sparkly bits. Here they are. So this Spooky Suite is the name of this designer paper. That's also the name of the suite. And it comes with these fun foam star embellishments. They're very lightweight and squishy. And they come in the black, the Petunia Pop, and the, I don't know, just like an iridescent white sparkly glitter. And we're going to go ahead and pop some of those on, just like we did on the other two versions of the card, which are on the floor. Let me grab those. Now you could use the Petunia Pop. I'm going to go with the black stars once again. So I'm going to add one right here. That's the largest one. And then I'm going to add a medium and a small to my spooky. And there we have our card. All right. So let's test it out once again. There you have our Happy Halloween, and one more. Here, we'll put this. This is also the Vampire Bear. We'll put him on that end. Should have made that one the little pig, and it would have had a nice set of different cards, right? Let's bring in those dimensions so you can get a screenshot. Again, if you sign up on my website for my free project sheets, you will get this project sheet in your email box if you are already signed up or you're signed up really soon, because it's going out really quick. All right, there we go. There's our different cards. I'll leave them slid open there so that you can grab your screenshot. Actually, maybe let's close one. We'll close this one back up here. Down we go. All right, there we go. Okay, hopefully you were able to capture the screenshot there. I'm just going to flip the camera around. Thanks so much for joining me for this extra bonus video and letting me give you some tips on how to remake that same cute card, but this time so that it fits into a standard envelope. Thanks again for tuning in, and thank you for making and sending handmade cards. You're absolutely making the world a kinder place with every card you send, so thank you so much. And if you're not currently subscribed, you can go to SueStampfield.com to subscribe to my free project sheets. Have a great day, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.